Hey TechnoStuds! In this video, we're going to take a look at the commands to set up both dynamic NAT and dynamic PAT. This is my network. This time, let's go ahead and set up router 2 to be the translation device. What we're going to do is we're going to translate traffic from this network right here. This is going to be the inside network, but we're just going to translate the traffic from this network, the 10.2.0.0 network. And we're going to translate it to everything on this side of the network. So let's see what the commands look like on router 2. Now, what I'm going to do is to see if it's working, I'm going to generate traffic from this switch. And it's going to go to the demo laptop. And we're going to test out to see if it's working by using our Wireshark. So here's Wireshark. It's seeing the different frames coming into it. Let's go ahead and generate a ping from the switch and see what happens. So I'm going to pull up that switch and I'm going to generate some traffic. And there you can see it immediately pops up. And you can see it's coming from 10.2.0.5. So we've got the traffic is going back and forth, and it's coming from the address we would expect it to, which is the IP address of that switch. So now let's do the NAT translation. What I'm going to do is jump on router 2. I got to get into the global configuration mode. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to create a pool. The pool name is Andy. I just came up with this as the name so you can see that it's whatever we want to name it. So I called it Andy. You start out with the beginning address. So I'm going to use 10.240.2.3. That's the interface. That's the network that is, let me pull up my diagram here. That's this interface on this side right there. So I'm going to specify three addresses, 10.240.2.3, .4 and .5. So this specifies the last address. So it's a range from this address to this address. I got to specify the network mask. So here's the network mask right here. So let's get that onto our router first. So this is the pool. So I'm going to copy that and paste it into here. The next thing that I'm going to do is this access list right here. So I'm going to this access list, and we haven't got into access list, but we are saying we're defining the access list. We give it a number. So this is number 1. We'll just use the word permit. There's a permit and a deny, but for this purpose, we'll just use permit. And we are going to do everything from that last site. So 10.2.0.0, that's the server site. And then we give it a wildcard mask, which is 0.0.255.255, meaning that any host in this network, this is the network bits, this is the host bits. So let's go ahead and get that access list entered in there. I'm going to paste it into here, and there we go. The next thing that I'm going to do is the IP NAT statement. This is the thing that we're already been going over, that we should be somewhat familiar with. It starts out with the IP NAT inside source, and then we are going to, the source is list 1. So that's referencing this. That's the inside addresses or the local addresses. And then it's going to pool Andy. So these are the global addresses. So the local addresses and the global addresses. So I'm going to copy that. We'll paste that into here. And then I'm going to get into the interfaces. So S000, that would be, let me pull up this diagram again. This interface right here, that's the inside. So that's what I'm translating from, and I'm going to the outside, so translating to. So I'm going to copy this. I will put that in there, and then I'm also going to copy this, and I'll paste that into there. Get a few errors. That's expected. It's just because the amount of resources on this device, which is unfortunate. But okay, now let's generate our traffic again and see what address it's coming from. So I'm going to generate that traffic. And we see that now it's coming from 10.240.2.3. That is in the range. So we have now successfully translated from this switch right here is going to this router, being translated at the router, and then being sent into this network right here. So we are good to go there. All right, a few things that we could do to check this out, a few commands that we can see what's happening here. I'm going to do a show IP NAT translation. And I do need to get into this, the privilege exec mode. So now I can do it. Show IP NAT translation, hit enter. So not surprisingly, there's the entry right there, the range or the entry for that machine. And we've got ICMP. So yep, that all makes sense with what we've seen before. I'm going to do a show IP NAT translation for both. And this just gives us a little more information on that. I can do the clear IP NAT translation. So clear IP NAT translation, but we've seen this before. I'm just going to do a question mark to it so we can see what else we have. And I do need to type it in, right? Translation, so question mark. And we can clear all dynamic translations, or we can choose specific TCP or UDP or inside or outside. So there's a few selections that we have here that we could actually enter into this. And what if I wanted to do everything? Then I could do the stars. So we're going to delete everything, and then that kind of resets that. All right, so there's just some commands that I can use. The last thing that I'm going to do is, at this point in time, it's a network address translation. So if I generated any more traffic from that network, it would take up the next in the range. So rather than 10.240.2.3, the next one would be 10.240.2.4. So it would take up that. But let's say I want to do that PAT, the port address translation. That would stretch this out from just being able to have 3 devices from that network to be translated to having tons of devices being able to be translated. And the only thing we need to do is we do the same set of commands here, except for we add overload to the end of it. So I'm going to copy this. We have to be in the global configuration mode for it and enter that in. And now at this point in time, it will do the port address translation. So all the same commands, except for it's just this last overload on it, turns it into a port address translation instead of a network address translation. So there you have it. So that's how you would set up dynamic port address translation or dynamic network address translation.